Blessings, everyone, and welcome to Body Rhythms. Today, outside is, I don't know what I would call it, the outer skirts of Hurricane Joaquin. Fall is here. So, today for Body Rhythms, I thought it'd be good if we talked about what it is exactly that we need to sustain our bodies. What does it take to sustain? Most living organisms, and that's everything from a cell on up to an elephant, basically have a life cycle here on Earth, and we all share these life sustaining items as necessity for life. We all share that. We all require all of these elements that I'm going to talk about to live, basically. Some of us can live longer and some live shorter, but we all still need these components to live. I think the oldest thing, the oldest living organism are trees. I think trees can stay alive a little longer because they need a little less to sustain them. They mostly need the sun. Because they photosynthesize, they provide their own food. So with just the sun and some water, they can sustain pretty long time. We, on the other hand, need a little more, and that's what we're going to talk about. So the sun, let's start with the sun. Like I said, every living organism needs the sun. Plants more so because they photosynthesize, they produce their food that way, and then they give off a gas that we actually need to breathe. Without the photosynthesis of trees and plants, we wouldn't have the air quality that we have. We wouldn't be able to sustain ourselves on the air that we need. And the sun also gives us our seasons. The 24-hour rotation that the earth takes around the sun is what gives us our day cycles and our weeks and our months and our years, and we basically follow that. And within that 24-hour cycle and the sun cycle, we also have our life cycles. We start as a growth, we develop, then we grow, then we mature, we reproduce, and then finally to death of our living bodies. So that's the cycle, and that's brought about by the sun. So sun is like very essential for us to sustain our bodies. The other thing that I mentioned briefly was water. 70% of our bodies is made up of water. For those of you that don't know, when I say 70%, what does that mean? If you were to take your body and break it up into 4 equal parts, just about 3 of those parts would be water, and the remainder is just the tissues, the other tissue matter and cells that form our organs and things like that. So that, like I said, 3 out the 4 is made up of water. So water is also very essential for our bodies. How much water? That's a very good question. Some practices say that we should have 8-ounce glasses of water per day. Some believe that we should have anywhere from 1 liter to 1.5 liters of water per day. So that really it depends on what you do per day. Know that you can lose hydration just from talking, from breathing, from walking, anything that you do, any movement, just living. All of our organs need water. So just being alive, we're expending moisture and hydration from our bodies. So you want to replenish that. So you want to get to a point where you're never really thirsty, and your urine should be pretty clear, or like a very, very pale yellow, if any color at all. But the goal is to maintain an equal amount of water throughout the day, whatever it is, however you do it. Just make sure that your lips feel moist, your skin feels moist. Those are ways that your body is letting you know whether or not it's hydrated enough. A lot of people run for chapstick and things like that, and while it's a quick fix for the moment, the better fix is to just hydrate yourself. You don't have to only rely on water for hydration. We can get up to, I guess, about 20% of hydration from foods that we eat. If you incorporate fruit, anything like watermelon, some vegetables, spinach, things like that, that have high water content themselves naturally, that's also a way to hydrate. And that also counts as a source of water for the day. So it's not only through drinking it, because some people just don't like to drink water. I don't know why, but you can get your hydration from other sources. So that, again, fruit is a source and water is the main source. Juices, things like that. You want to stay away from sodas, anything that has caffeine. As I mentioned in the last Body Rhythms, those things are acting more as a diuretic in your body. So it's not really hydrating. While there is some water in them, it's not enough to count toward hydrating your body. It's not going to be counted. We're not going to count those. So if you can drink, juices that are not made with sugar, fake sugar, because then that causes other problems in your body. So you want to stay as natural as you can. So that water is the best source, and fruit if you don't want to drink water. And can you drink too much water? Most certainly. In fact, I think a couple of years back, a radio station was holding a contest where they wanted people to consume copious amounts of water to win an Xbox. I think it was when the Xbox One came out. And so, it was really expensive. And I guess this one woman was determined to win. And I forgot how many gallons of water she drank. But she later died. So that you can drink too much water where your kidneys just can't handle it. And then, your sodium levels, everything in your body gets out of balance and you can die. So you can drink too much. Again, the name of the game is moderation, okay? You don't want to overdo it, but you don't want to underdo it. You need to be mindful of how much water, because we do need it. The third thing would be elements. We need oxygen, yes, but believe it or not, the atmosphere that we breathe in is made up of nitrogen as well. In fact, I think about 80% of it is nitrogen. So that we need the oxygen, yes, but we also need nitrogen, we need carbon, and we need hydrogen. If I were to say out of those four, which would be the most important, while they're all important, carbon is the one that is in most living organisms. I think about over 95% of all living organisms have carbon in them. In some form or another, so that if it's carbon dioxide, it's going out, it's waste in our bodies, it metabolizes differently. It's very essential. It's very essential, and we can go into later in further into the series more detail about why carbon is so important, and nitrogen, and how it produces proteins in our bodies and helps with the enzymes and hormones and things like that, and hydrogen as well. These are all the elements that are essential for us to live. With those four elements, everything else in our body is able to be created. All the cells are able to turn into whatever it is that we need to sustain at the moment, whether it's blood cells, fat cells. Everything comes from the use of those four elements. And lastly, it's nutrients. A lot of people think that we can just give our body anything, and that's not necessarily true. We can't just pour milk in a car because we know that it needs some kind of liquid. It needs specific things. we need to also put specific things in our bodies, and that's something that we don't do. So whether or not you want to do a vegetarian lifestyle or a more meat lifestyle, the name of the game still is moderation. Most of everything that we need, believe it or not, we can get from fruits, vegetables, and nuts, things like that, so that we don't have to consume meat. But most of us, our lifestyles involve meat of some form or another. But the one thing that seems to stand out to me the most is that when I was younger, I remember that we didn't eat as much meat. There were specific times, like turkey. You only saw turkey or even heard about turkey around Thanksgiving and Christmas and those holidays. So that now turkey's like a commonplace thing. And while it's good that we can, have anything on demand, our bodies, just like the seasons and just like every other living organism, only requires certain types of nutrients at certain times of year. During spring and summer, we're the most active, so we require different types of nutrients. And, in the winter and fall, we're a little less active and again require different nutrients. If I had to say out of all of them again, the main thing that we need is protein. I believe that women need anywhere from, I think it's 42 to 46 grams of protein per day. And men need slightly higher. They need about, I think it's about 50 to 56 grams. But again, all of these numbers that I'm throwing out are based off of, what is considered average. So if you're a little taller or a little smaller, then your requirements may be a little less or a little more, depending on, who you are and how you eat, how you consume your proteins, how you consume any of your food. But those are basically the main components. We need nutrients, we need water, we need those four elements, and the sun, believe it or not. There is a very small group of people, I believe they're called Breatharians, who believe that they can just breathe air. And while meditation and a lot of spirituality and a lot of religions go by fasting as a means of elevating to a higher spiritual level, the fast purifies their body. It releases toxins and keeps them toxin free for a period of time, though. It's not indefinitely. It's just for a period of time. And, it's agreed with your mind, it's agreed with your body, and it's agreed with your spirit that you're doing it for whatever the purpose is. So that there are people that can fast. But then there's these breatharians who take it to another level. They believe that they can just live off of air. And, sorry to say, a couple of people have died. We cannot just live off of air. As nice as that would like to be, it's not true. There's also people that believe that they can just live off of water. And again, as nice and convenient as that would be, we cannot just live off of water. To be honest, I think if you were to just live on water alone, I think I read somewhere that you could live only up to 8 weeks on just water, so that your body is going to need other things. It needs sugars. It needs, the glucose to produce other cells or tissues in our bodies. We need them. Our other organs cannot just live off of the plain water. It's just like I said with a car. A car needs brake fluid, engine fluid, transmission oil, gasoline. It needs, these different types of components, and it's the same with our bodies. And it's just always so curious to me that we know exactly what to do with our cars, but when it comes to our bodies, everybody's in so much turmoil. But it's very basic, just like it's very basic for the car. We need sun, we need the elements, we need water, and we need nutrients. And as we go further on in the series, we will be exploring each one of these in detail, so that as I said, we can get better acquainted with our bodies and use them better and treat them better. So once again, thank you for joining me on Body Rhythms. And if you've enjoyed my video, please hit like. And if you haven't already, subscribe so that when these videos come out, you'll have them hot off the press. Thank you for watching. Blessings.